and welcome to the second quarter-final of the 2024 Talking How to Slot World Cup of Slot Cars, or the Bracket Challenge, if you are American. So, we are trying to go from 16 current manufacturers, none of your Ninkos, none of your print cars, none of your Auto Arts or any others that have ceased to function as slot car manufacturers. These are ones who are trading right now, right this minute. And we're discussing their merits and demerits and trying to get through to a overall sort of best brand for a combination of factors. It could be price, it could be accessibility, it could be how nice the cars look, it could be how nicely the cars drive on the track. Odd thing when you don't touch them, but it's a factor. So we've just seen Slotted go through to the semi-final stage, and now we have a quarter-final matchup between Scott,
Avant slot and Scalextric, as in the UK Scalextric. So, creators of the whole thing, I think we can safely say. Now, usual format is we sort of launch forth and sort of try and give the good points and maybe the bad points. And if it emerges that one or other of us have got an obvious favourite, we try and counteract that a little bit. So I'm going to leap forward for Scalextric because I don't want to be in the position of having to do it the other way around. So Scalextric invented it, still going, trials and turbulations, but they still there. Huge number of models released every year. Everything from sort of sci-fi classics like Thunderbirds and Batman and whatever vehicles, through to movie classics like Blues Brothers, through current Formula One cars, old Formula One cars, Le Mans cars, some rally cars, classics as well as modern. Track system, possibly the weak spot, maybe the track system, because it's the dimensions of it are to the old original size, but it's there. They've got a digital system. There's kind of everything. It's what we all grew up with. You buy a Scalextric set, as I did at New Year. And everything's in the box. You unpack it and you go and play, and your lifetime's addiction to slot cars is born. Downsides, not always running as well as they might. They're not meant to. They're toys, but some run better than others, and that's getting better. Accuracy on liveries, colours, sometimes maybe a little bit suspect, but maybe no more than anybody else. So no, I think toy maker, but cover a lot of ground and do it in general very well.
Yeah. I think the breadth of what Scalextric does and its attempts to reach certainly the North American and Australian Oceania markets is commendable. I don't see anyone else rushing to do Aussie V8s, whether period ones or contemporary. Certainly, there's always an eye in terms of muscle cars, which are, they're global, aren't they? If you watch cool movies, there's always a muscle car. They always have a race history. There's always opportunity to churn some out. We see modern Formula One cars just hitting the shelves. Okay, they're 2022 models, but that's the world we live in when it comes to Formula One licensing these days. I would still much rather have a model of a 2022 slot car or a 2022 real car as a slot car than a generic F1 fantasy car, fantasy livery. No. If you don't engage with the F1 rights holders and choose to do your own thing, well, that's, okay, fine. It's a solution for some people, but no, I'd rather have a model of a real car. Thank you very much. So props to Scalextric for bringing out something contemporary. There have been issues over the years, of course. I think that the philosophy of going for full interiors, which is just baggage that you carry around with you on the track hurt them. I think the lack of front axle play and the sort of focus on being a competitor to die-cast manufacturers and building cars that are not necessarily intended to ever see the track, and sort of put the focus on them being how they look on the shelf, or if they do go on the track, then how well the magnet sits over the rails rather than how the cars perform in themselves. Because the best way to tune a magnet car is to take the magnet out, get the car working brilliantly without the magnet, and then stick the magnet back in. Then it's really quick. But yeah, and the shape of the Mark III Ford Capri obviously still rankles with how wrong it is. But
let it go. Let it go, Nick. Let it go.
It was the one chance we had. It was the one chance us Capri lovers had. And it got blown to smithereens. But then we've got the more recent stuff. Tray interiors, all the jazzy interiors gone, inline, Euro standard hubs, so you can fit competitive rubber on it if you want to. The brand team understands what slotters want beyond, basic race sets and cars that only run on proprietary track. They're not quite there yet. There's still a lot of things that, you cannot simply put a Scalextric car on wood or another manufacturer's track and expect it to run nicely every time. But they are the gateway brand. And, we owe our enthusiasm for this hobby, certainly in the English-speaking world, to having been given a Scalextric set at some point.
Okay, well, I think you could lay some claim globally, couldn't you? Because the various offshoots, in Spain and elsewhere, have all had their roots in what came out of Scalextric originally. So obviously the home team, we're British, we're bound to be a bit, but for those overseas listening, that actually I think we are also Scalextric's harshest critic. I certainly hold them to probably a higher standard than I would if they were.
I didn't see any Spanish forums noticing that Per Eklund's name was spelt wrong on the 6R4.
Well, there's that, but I think we do. There's an expectation of come on, you can do it. So Avant Slot, obviously very different scale. They make cars. They don't make anything else. They make vehicles because obviously they make trucks and vans and stuff. But what I mean is they don't make track and things.
Yeah.
Now, given that I waxed lyrical first about that, do you want to wax lyrical about Avant Slot?
Yeah, I can. They have quirks in terms of their engineering, but when you do a little bit of mild fettling of gear alignment or whatever it might be that isn't quite right coming out of the box, you've got little rocket ships there. They've got a range of motors which are by and large long cans, give plenty of torque. They've got some with mad revs, but usually they stick to around the 20,000 RPM mark, so the same as a standard motor, but obviously a lot more torque with the long can. They're designed for people that want to race them, and that is true of their LMPs, their rally cars, their Dakar cars. There will be a touring car coming out, a British touring car of the Mitsubishi Galant. So, there's a fairly wide range. It's nothing like the Scalextric range in terms of depth, but they are very satisfying things to drive on a variety of tracks. So there's obviously a bit of a price difference. They're more towards 80 quid these days because they're lower volume, higher costs, because they're made domestically, I think, in Spain rather than shunted out to China to be built.
I'm not sure of that. I don't know. Could be.
So yeah, I mean, there's just a whole different modus operandi. Can I, though, even though I like Avant Slot, I've got several. Can I say that they are a more deserving semi-finalist than Scalextric? Who did they beat in the first round? That got us some flack, didn't it? Was it NSR?
Thunderslot.
Well, same difference. Yeah. To be honest, I don't see them getting through past Scalextric.
Okay, I had a little bit of a glitch there because you froze and went quiet, so I don't know what you said. Not to build the tension, but it was a kind of crucial moment where
Well, I said I personally don't see Avant Slot with a fairly niche business model outdoing the Gateway brand to the hobby for many parts of the world.
I think your conclusion I completely agree with. I think a final honourable mention to see the fact that Avant Slot are doing the unusual stuff as well. So the rally vans, they've done that set with the Quattro. They did the ones with the Manta, I think, wasn't it? Where you
Yeah,
could
it's a
get
Chevy
the
van
GM
with the Manta and the Transit with the Volts.
Yeah. So I think those are that's definitely interesting and welcome, but it's probably not enough to tip the balance in this particular pairing up against, in other circumstances the way we're trying to look at it in the round, as it were. So that means it's Scalextric go through to the semi-final. And who will they meet? Well, we'll find out because that will be the result of quarter-final 4. So we don't have to keep listening and watching to find out who that would be. So see you again soon.